by the way, would leave a spot at 10. But I think Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, and Baker Mayfield are better than Brock Purdy. And so then
Jayden Daniels doesn't get. He's done it for one year.
Right.
He looks great and he was amazing, but he hasn't gone as far in the playoffs as Brock has. It's just been a 1 year thing.
Well, and everyone on that Goff. I mean, Goff it's arguable, but I don't think definitive is just a preference.
Yeah,
because he has not been as good in the playoffs as Purdy has.
Maybe I misunderstood the assignment here. I'm telling you who I think. You can't tell me I can't say I think Jayden Daniels better than him. I think he's better than him.
I just do think
that's fine if you think that. I don't.
It's not fine.
No, but hold on. Do you?
I'm saying what criteria do you have that a guy who has gone deep into the playoffs and went to the Super Bowl
Jayden
is better than a guy
Purdy,
who just had 1 year?
So Purdy has been one game further than Jayden, right? Jayden made the conference championship game.
Well, Purdy also made that, right?
Right.
So he's done it twice. So
Jayden. I mean, if we're gonna do this,
2 runs.
Right. Jayden's been in the league 1 year, just like Purdy in his first year made the conference championship game. I also think he's a better player. I'll tell you right now, I think sight unseen, Cooper Flagg is better than certain NBA starters right now. What am I basing that off of? What I believe. If it's not, I think these lists are a combination of accomplishment and what we believe they're going to be, circumstance, all of it. I think Brew agrees with me. If I can just finish the Nick Wright list, it doesn't have to be the Kevin.
Say whatever you want.
I hear you, Nick, and I just think that we're trying, and I think Purdy was even. You're trying to look at it as objectively as we can.
Yeah.
And it's you're right. You have your list. I have my list.
And again, if I had Trevor saying Trevor's better than Brock, there is nothing to lean on. If you said Mac Jones is better than Brock, there's nothing to lean on. The Jayden Daniels thing, I think there is a lot to lean on there. There is, I mean, for the record, he has been further in the playoffs than Allen or Lamar. Nobody thinks he's better than them. So it can't just be the playoff thing. Yeah, he's been further in the playoffs than, I guess, other people on my list, just Baker. Because Goff's been to a Super Bowl, whatever it is.
I do think being objective, and I tend to think Jayden is better than Purdy,
I
too.
know you do.
But I'm just saying, being objective, you're like, it's the verdict's out just because he's only done it 1 year. Like
100%.
CJ a year ago, I would have been like, oh, CJ's definitely better.
Same thing, yeah.
Now, maybe, you know what I mean?
So the point that I was trying to make is, I think Purdy is in that next, because I would tier it like that. My next tier has Justin Herbert.
Okay. I want to just stick to the Jayden Daniels because now they're going to talk about the other quarterbacks. Guys, I think we're overthinking this whole thing, and it's funny to even give any pushback. The only reason right now you don't put Jayden Daniels with Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson in that tier is because it's only been 1 year. But you certainly can put him up above anyone else you want, for that matter. Like, you know, because since this was done on PFF as kind of a tier, it's both the list and a tier. You know, you have second high tier, tier 2 high end starters, and then tier 1 elite. And I made the argument. You guys know that I've been, you know, at the very beginning of Jayden Daniels and have, you know, been a Jayden Daniels whisperer. So I am no one can call me a Jayden Daniels hater. I totally understand why it would just be these 4 quarterbacks. If we're playing this game of elite, I could understand why you would want to maybe, while some Eagles fans or other people would want to add in a Hurts or a Stafford, etc., etc. But I understand why you can't put a Jayden Daniels in there right now because it has only been the 1 year. But they're taking this to the next level where it's like, well, you can't even put Jayden Daniels above a Brock Purdy because of, and it's just like, well, of course you can. Just use your eyes. You get right off the bat, Jayden Daniels is already a better quarterback than, you know, any of these other people that could supposedly, you know, be behind him, like the Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, etc. And I don't care about accomplishments. I don't care about, well, this guy went further. Like, that argument is pretty dumb to me. And again, it's like the comeback is like, yeah, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson haven't been to a Super Bowl, and Brock Purdy has. Does that mean he's better? Stafford won a Super Bowl. Who would you rather have right now, Josh Allen or Matthew Stafford? The answer is obvious. So it just doesn't really make sense to me. And again, just watch the games. Like you don't need all the crazy statistics that Jayden Daniels has done. Just watch the games. Who do you feel like you would rather have as your quarterback? That's what it really kind of gets reduced to. Just watch the game and be like, okay, if I had to choose a quarterback, like I don't care, but I don't know what the completion percentage is. I don't know what the box score is. I don't know. Did he throw for 250 yards? Did he throw for 100 yards? I don't know. Like, well, what was his touchdown interception ratio? No idea. Just watch the game. Just watch the game. And how do you feel? Like we minimize sometimes a take like that as like not being, analytical enough or et cetera, et cetera. And like the truth of the matter is like that's actually really what it gets boils down to so often than not. Is like I am watching this guy play, whether live or on film, whatever, and you're just like, what do I see? What do my eyes tell you? I say this all the time. Like if it was all the end all be all of statistics, we would have such a higher degree of reliability of being able to draft players, of being able to predict who's going to win, who's going to lose, et cetera, et cetera. We're not there. We know that. Otherwise, again, like gambling fundamentally would not exist. And so we know it's beyond just bottom line statistics. But even if it was, what we saw Jayden Daniels do statistically was special, was elite, and good enough for me to, at the very least, be put in front of anyone else but these kind of maybe these prototypical top 4 quarterbacks, only because we've seen what these quarterbacks have done year after year after year after year. And again, you can add other quarterbacks to that party if you want to add Jalen Hurts or Stafford or even a Jared Goff, or you can add anyone you want, quite frankly. Geno Smith, blah 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 blah. I'm not saying, to be clear, I'm not saying I want to add those guys, but I'm just saying I'm not trying to get lost in this of like only these 4 quarterbacks. But you're just not going to tell me that that it's like going to be in any way controversial to say that you think Jayden Daniels is better than Brock Purdy, and it's because of reaching the Super Bowl. And yeah, he went to the division, NFC Championship game twice, and it's like, okay. And if Jayden Daniels plays as great as he did last season, but for that he only makes it to the divisional round, which is totally possible. Absolutely possible. Probably technically more possible than not, because that's just the way that football works. The Philadelphia Eagles is more likely that they don't win the Super Bowl than win the Super Bowl. Like that's just how this stuff works. So technically, it's a safer bet to say that to believe that the Washington Commanders won't make it back to the NFC Championship game or even a Super Bowl. And that doesn't now mean that he took a step back or that someone else is better than him or that Brock Purdy is better. Like that's just this doesn't make any sense, honestly. It really doesn't. So I don't understand how that could even remotely be a take, honestly. And, the way I look at it right now is, the truth is, there is a couple quarterbacks, and I'm not going to name names right now, who I'd rather have Jayden Daniels over multiple of these top 4 quarterbacks in this elite section. Quite frankly, and you guys probably already know the answer, there's one quarterback that I could say without a shadow of a doubt I would not take over Jayden Daniels right now in 2025, right now, right this second. And there's probably a second quarterback, most definitely a second quarterback, who I'm not going to say his name, and it's probably not who you think it is, actually. And the other 2, I would take Jayden Daniels over. If I'm looking at this over a long-term horizon, if you're saying who do you want as your quarterback for the next, and we don't even have to do 10 years because a lot of these quarterbacks some of them might not even make it another 10 years, but let's just say 5 years. Let's just say 3 years. I would pick Jayden Daniels. And I really am going to pick Jayden Daniels, at this point over Stafford. Justin Herbert's kind of in the wings right now, but if I had to choose right this second over Justin Herbert, over Jared Goff, over Geno, over Brock Purdy, over Jordan Love, over Baker, over CJ, Kyler, Trevor, and on we go. On and on we go. The only thing that Jayden Daniels has to prove to me is that he can keep doing it. That he can keep doing this season after season, which is why you have to respect. I think this gets lost in the sauce too much. You do have to respect the consistency of Mahomes, of Burrow, of Lamar, of Josh Allen. And it's beyond just finding ways to win. It's why Patrick Mahomes winning Super Bowls is not really my marker of greatness, especially because of how he's already played in big moments like Super Bowls, for instance. It's to me, it's impressive that the quarterbacks like Lamar, Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow have been able to be pretty much historic season after season after season. I mean, just the level of consistency is remarkable. And quite frankly, consistency is the most important aspect of what truly makes you elite. You can't be elite without being consistent, which is why you can't put Jayden Daniels there just yet, because he hasn't shown that he can do it consistently. And that's not his fault. And that's why, but I'm only willing to, have that hurt his, hierarchy so much. I'm not going to be like, well, I've seen, Jared Goff go to a Super Bowl and an NFC championship game, and he's been doing it for, I don't remember, since 2016 or whatever year it was. That doesn't mean I don't care. I've already seen the peak of Jared Goff, and the peak of Jared Goff is already lower than what Jayden Daniels has already showed me. Jayden Daniels just needs to show me that he can consistently play around at that deep end of the pool. Like, that's the only thing. So, it's always a moving target a little bit. And I'm high on Brock Purdy. I'd rather have Brock Purdy over plenty of these other quarterbacks as well. I really would. But I don't know. It's funny to have them give pushback over Jayden Daniels, which is funny because it does make me think of this whole conversation that I had where I straight up said going into that playoff game, I'm taking Jayden Daniels over Baker Mayfield. And people were like, what? Are you kidding me? And I was like, yeah, what are you talking about? And Nick Wright was like, Baker Mayfield is one of the best playoff performers of all time. And I was like, really? And I made a whole separate video to be like, that's a whole bunch of nonsense, which is why. And to me, that video, I should look that up and watch it. The video that I made is, it was like a textbook example, if I do say so myself, of why you can't go by stats and how misleading statistics can be. I mean, you get a front row seat in it, and I'm not going to rehash that, but then Jayden Daniels proved in that game, to be the more valuable quarterback in that moment of time. And I don't use head-to-head games as proof of that either, because I think even after I made that video, after that game against the Bucs, I even kind of went off and said, I forget exactly when I said, if it was immediately after or a couple games later, I was like, look, Jayden Daniels clearly proved to be good enough to win all these games and get to the NFC Championship game. Yet, the Commanders could have lost against the Bucs. Like, that was clearly in the realm of possibility if Baker doesn't fumble, if the kicker for the Commanders ends up, actually having the ball hit the upright and not go in. Like, Jayden Daniels could have lost that game, and people would have said, oh, see, Jayden Daniels not good enough, or oh, Baker Mayfield better. And yet we clearly saw that he was. And that's honestly, that game alone is kind of a great example of why you can't always go by the outcome of a game as proof of anything, quite frankly, because the Commanders absolutely positively could have lost that game, and it would have had nothing to do with the greatness or the specialness of Jayden Daniels. And so you do got to be careful with the conclusions that you draw, too narrowly. But that is, again, of course, a limitation when you're going off of a quarterback who's only been doing it for 1 year. And you could even see PFF. Perhaps we're crowding Daniels a bit too early, as plenty of quarterbacks have had a standout rookie season only to regress in year 2. It is a phenomenon that we see plenty of times. But what separates Daniels is his poise under pressure, I agree, and in clutch moments late in the year. I think what also separates him is the fact that I always say this with him, that he is an elite playmaker and an elite game manager. You can't say that for a lot of these other quarterbacks who have had great seasons. You know, they've had great seasons where they were able to really light the league on fire, and, you know, there was a lot of things that were kind of going in their favor. And I'd make the argument that Jayden Daniels had a lot going against him and proved that he can not only be a game breaker, a game changer, but also a game manager. And I might be one of the only people out there that doesn't use the game manager as a as like a negative. Like it's important. Like I always say, Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady have won Super Bowls being game managers, and we saw other quarterbacks. Look no further than against the Philadelphia Eagles in the first round wild card. What the heck's his name? Jordan Love versus Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was able to be a game manager that game, managed the game, and won the game. Jordan Love did terrible at managing that game, turned the ball over, made throws that he should not have. You lose the game. I said this to Packers fans. I said, if Jordan Love played more like Jalen Hurts in that game, you could have maybe won that game. Despite all the injuries, despite obviously the Eagles just being a better team, you still could have won. You need to be able to know fundamentally how to manage a game. And Jayden Daniels knows how to do that, as well as taking over a game when need be. So the rest is not on Jayden Daniels to prove what he can or can't do. Certainly from a winning perspective. That's up to the Commanders now. That's up to the Commanders of, can they call the right plays at the right time? Can they build a good enough defense? Can they build a run game? Can they, when they lose one player, draft another, make some moves in free agency? It's up to the Commanders. The only thing that it's up to Jayden Daniels right now is to prove that he can consistently be who he's already proven to be. That's really the only other thing that he needs to prove, to me at least. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jayden Daniels being in Nick Wright's top 10 and being above Purdy? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.